Hello, everybody. How you doing? It's RMJ Movie Reviews Incorporated. Back with another movie review. I already told you guys before that I was planning on redoing the whole setup. Right now, I can't really quite get my sets together, the actual production sets where I'm gonna actually be filming this show. So right now, I'm just gonna give you something that's quick and dirty. From the basement. Last time it was from the car, but this is how I'm doing it now. So bear with me. Things are going to improve soon. I just got in, so I'm kind of just doing this on the fly again because I don't want to fall asleep because I got a day off tomorrow from work. So right now I'm going to be talking about the remake for Point Break, which is a film from 1991 that starred the late great Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves, Gary Busey, whole bunch of ensemble of character actors who were in that picture as well. The only thing I can say is, and again, like I said in the last video, I was born in 1981, so I was raised kind of on the whole late night, cable, 8 o'clock movie, plug in your TV, put up the antenna, and turn to channel 5, 3, and 8 on a black and white television, channel U. So I grew up in the 80s, in the early 90s. So therefore, I'm conditioned to those kind of films. Those are the films that I love. I love the cheesiness of 80s entertainment. And the cheesiness also of early 90s to mid, and we'll say all 90s kind of entertainment. This whole remake craze, I'm really sick of. I can't stand it. And I'm not gonna lie, there's some remakes out here that I do like. In particular, I like Rob Zombie's Halloween remake. I don't think it at all holds a candle to John Carpenter's, but I like that film for what it is. Rob Zombie is an out there, bizarre, crazy filmmaker, and that's what he did with the character of Michael Myers. He turned it into kind of a trailer trash, bizarre, F word in every sentence, kind of just out there kind of movie. And it works for what it is. One of the things that strikes me as bizarre is that Hollywood seems to have lost all creativity, that they are just going to... They're going back into the 80s and 90s and just remaking anything. Anything. I mean, we had the Fright Night remake, which is a remake of the 1985 film starring Chris Sarandon, which that's a great, fantastic movie. But Fright Night is a cult movie. That's not really a movie that I stick it, and it bombed when it came out. They remade Total Recall, which was complete crap. I don't care what anybody says. People can sit there and say, oh, well, it's better because Colin Farrell is a better actor than Arnold Schwarzenegger in the special effects. You guys can go screw yourselves because the Total Recall remake sucked. It watered down everything that Total Recall was. Total Recall was sleazy, ultra-violent, profane language, bizarre kind of in-camera special effects models. The remake took away all of that, and it was basically a combination of ripping off Blade Runner and then you're ripping off Total Recall, and it sucked and it was stupid. Now they got the RoboCop remake coming out, which we all know I don't even care if it's an okay movie. It's gonna suck. It's gonna suck in comparison to the original. They're not, for some strange reason, the style of 80s and early 90s action film where it was profane, politically incorrect, naked girls all the time. And you guys out there who are fans of kind of those 1980s action pictures and early 90s can look at movies like 48 Hours, The Last Boy Scout, Lethal Weapon, Commando. I mean, we could go on and on from all those kind of profane, politically incorrect action pictures from that time. And we know Point Break was part of that vein. You know, Point Break came out in 1990. I think when Point Break came out, I think I was about, if I remember right, I think I was about 10 or 9 when that film came out. But I remember seeing the trailer for that. I remember it was like they had Predator 2, which I saw on video. And then they had a trailer for Point Break with Keanu Reeves, and it has like these cheesy little title sequences that their names are like orange and yellow, and it kind of goes, and it kind of comes into Point Break with some little cheesy waves going on in the background, and then like the tagline at the end of the trailer is like Keanu Reeves going something something something. I hit my first wave today, sir, and then the music goes. Point Break is part of that era of just 80s, early 90s action picture where, and I guarantee you guys, I already heard on TV that they're going to have Gerard Butler playing Patrick Swayze's role. I can start on why this is a bad idea. Number one, Point Break is a movie that, for people who are like my age, early 30s, and 40s, you know, kind of people who were little kids, almost preteens, and people who were teenagers and early 20s at that time, Point Break probably means something to the people who do like that movie. What I have found among general audiences, and I'm saying general audiences, I'm not saying people like myself who really like these kind of films, what I have found is that most people who are general audiences do not like Point Break. Now, people like myself who like the kind of action pictures that I just talked about, I like Point Break. When I very first saw it on VHS tape, when I rented it from the video store, when we had video stores, and my father was kind of a irresponsible dad and let a 10-year-old rent Point Break, you know, the picture is slow in the beginning. It picks up. You know, the action in that movie is brutal. It's brutal gunfights. It's bloody. You got, you know, it's everything you want from an action picture. You got girls in bikinis and thongs, and you got curse language, and you got people mooning the screen and surfing. It's in skydiving. It's everything you want. They're not going to do that with this picture. I promise you all. Hollywood, for some reason, the action picture of yesterday, meaning 70s style, 80s, 90s style, that's not in right now. What's in right now is a superhero movie. That's cool. You know what I mean? Because at the time when I was a kid, you know, the only superhero movies was Christopher Reeve's Superman, which those are all great until you got to the Richard Pryor one, and then Superman 4, Quest for Peace. Oh my God. Let's not talk about that one. But, you know, and then there was Michael Keaton Batman, you know, which we all remember. That was spectacular. But now superhero movies are the thing, and for some unknown, crazy reason to me that I cannot process, PG-13 watered-down action pictures are in. I do not understand it. The only PG-13 franchise out here that I really think is good are the Bourne movies. Now, I guarantee you also, too, if the Bourne movies would have been made in the 80s, those would be hardcore rated R action pictures. They would be. But those are the only ones I respect because they are the closest to that era of action picture. When they remake this new one, man, first of all, Gerard Butler, he's cool. He does his thing, whatever. He doesn't hold a candle to Patrick Swayze. Patrick Swayze played that role with a wise, sociopathic, religious, self-righteous, boyish. Even though I find out that Patrick Swayze was like damn near like 42 when he made that picture, and he looked good as hell. The man was in his early 40s, I think, when he made Point Break. He looked like he was about 35 or 34, but you know, Patrick Swayze just ingested that charismatic, psychotic, smooth, philosophical Buddhist attitude into that character. I don't think Gerard Butler can do that. That's no disrespect to him as an actor. I don't think he can do that. I don't know who they're going to get to play Keanu Reeves' character, But Keanu Reeves at that time, which I think Keanu must have maybe, I don't know, he must have been mid-20s, late-20s at the time when he made that picture. I don't know. Keanu Reeves had a dull boyishness to him that only Keanu can pull off. Keanu is the only actor who can pull off dull and something strangely interesting at the same time, and that's what he does in that movie. They're not gonna do. They're not gonna have actors who can draw you in like that. They're definitely not gonna find anybody like Gary Busey. Guarantee that, and everybody watching this video who knows Point Break and who knows Gary Busey, they cannot find anybody to match Gary Busey. I'm only imagining right now who's going to take that role who played Gary Busey, because nobody can top him. Oh, but let me tell you, they might do something stupid and make a comedian. They might put a comedian in that role. They might take old boy from maybe The Hangover, who had the Zach gave it. I don't. I'm not a fan of him, but his name Zach Galifianakis or whatever his name is. I bet you he'll play the Gary Busey role, and who'll play the Keanu Reeves role is gonna be man, what's old boy, the young kid who was in the movie with Matthew McConaughey and Nicole Kidman. He's in the new movie called Neighbors that's gonna be coming out. I forget his name. He's from the Disney Channel or something. I don't know. I'm 32 years old. I don't know the kid's name, but I bet you he'll play the role. And Gerard Butler, or it might be Channing Tatum, who might Channing Tatum probably might take on the role. You know, although Channing Tatum is about the same age as me, so he might be considered. He might be too old for the Johnny Utah role, or he might be just right. I don't know. But Channing Tatum is the only one who I could even think would be kind of a mirror of Keanu Reeves at that time when he was in his 20s. Channing Tatum is kind of almost the perfect mirror of Keanu Reeves, with kind of the prettiness, with the dullness, with something strangely charismatic at the same time. The picture's gonna suck, you know. And you know, from what I understand, also too, Point Break, from what I remember, you know, I wasn't paying attention to box office numbers at that time, but I remember at that time when I was a kid, I remember everybody was talking about Terminator 2 at that time, you know, and it was some other ones I remember from back. Silence of the Lambs, but I think Silence of the Lambs was earlier in the year, and I think Point Break was a summer movie, if I remember. But I remember Point Break, from what I remember, Point Break was okay, but I don't think Point Break was like some kind of gigantic blockbuster, and that's when you come into the problem of remaking it. Number one, they're not going to go hardcore like that film was. And Point Break, I tell you, is a very profane, it's very violent, there's a lot of nudity, a lot of political incorrect stuff in that movie. I mean, you got a scene where they think that they're the bank, was it the ex-president's bank robbers or whatever, and it turns out to just be these reckless surfers, and they got like some chick that's like coked out and drugged out, and she's like stabbing FBI agents, beating Keanu Reeves' ass while she's butt naked with her titties flying all over the place. They're not going to do that in this movie. Guarantee you they will not. They're not going to have a cool scene. The cool thing also, too, about those action movies at the time, there was always a very gratuitous shock death moment. You know what I mean? And when I say shock death moment, you can look at like Die Hard 2, where Bruce Willis stabs the guy in the icicle with an eye, or John Amos gets sucked into the airplane rotor, or the scene in Point Break, where that same scene where the chick is naked, and the guy from I think he's Red Hot Chili Peppers, the FBI agent comes into the room and the guy shoots himself in the foot and like blood splurts out, and the guy goes, "Ah!" I'd never forget when me and my friends were like 11 years old. We used to always talk about that scene, how the guy shot himself in the foot in that movie. They're not gonna do that. They're not. Action pictures have digressed over the past like 30 years. They've gotten tamer and tamer and tamer. And the thing is, the paychecks are big enough, so they're gonna keep making them. I mean, Bruce Willis sold out and made Die Hard 4, and then he made that garbage A Good Day, which is even worse than Live Free or Die Hard. As far as I'm concerned, there are only 3 Die Hard movies in my brain. It ended with a vengeance and whatever came after that. But it just shows you the kind of product they're trying to put out. They're raping those old franchises just for a quick buck. You're not gonna get the conventions in this film. You're not gonna get a cool scene where, like, when they introduce Johnny Utah and he's taking his test for the FBI and he's shooting at the targets in this rain, and Keanu Reeves slowly turns to the camera and does that cheesy 80s, early 90s kind of yeah, bro, and he goes, yeah, and he gives a thumbs up. They're not gonna do that. I bet you what they'll do is they'll have Channing Tatum training with some kind of UFC fighter, and it'll be Flow Rider playing in the background. No disrespect to Flow Rider, I like him, but it'll probably be like, and he'll be doing some kind of tumbling grab or ground and pound, whatever you call it. That's what the movie's gonna be. And I already heard little rumblings that instead of them being skydivers and surfers, they're gonna be what are they gonna be? I can't remember. It was something that I heard on TV where there's some other extreme sport, rock climbing guys or something. Or it's just gonna be stupid. It's a bad financial investment. It's gonna be watered down. I don't think they're gonna go balls to the wall. And Point Break is a movie that has a cult following. Majority of people, when that film came out, people have forgotten about Point Break. It's only a small number of people like myself who like that style of action picture who like Point Break. You know, and I just think it's just like, why are you guys that uncreative that you have to just... I mean, I remember hearing something on the internet that they were gonna remake Commando, and they're talking about remaking Poltergeist, and they're talking about remaking Child's Play. I mean, my God, Hollywood, please be original, create something new. I mean, it'd be nice if they could kill this idea, because I know I heard a couple years back they were also talking about remaking Lethal Weapon, and there was such a protest that they squashed it. You know, I don't care if you make superhero movies out the yin yang. Just do something that is not raping what people... You know, and what really sucks is that the kids who are growing up now, they don't get to view these pictures. They think that these are the movies. Like, I mean, it's amazing to me. I had said something about, like, Prom Night, right? The Jamie Lee Curtis slasher movie, right? I saw Prom Night, like, on Big Chuck and Little John when I was, like, I don't know, 6 or 7 or something. Some kid who I was talking to who's like 17 thought that it was that PG-13 remake that came out a couple years ago. This is the garbage that's messing up the classics. Again, the classics will always be the classics. They'll always be there. But they'll only be there for people like me and who are up. These new kids, they get to see this trash garbage like this Point Break remake. Why? I just don't think they're going to do it. And we all know the profanity's not going to be there. I mean, when you watch Point Break, I mean, my God, I mean, there's profanity out the yin yang, but that's the best part of those action pictures. 48 Hours, Last Boy Scout, Point Break, Roadhouse, whatever. I also heard they're going to remake that too, Roadhouse. I mean, just profanity that is deliciously sleazy and bad for your soul, but it's awesome. They don't want to put that in there. These movie studios now, excuse my language for a slight minute, are just... I'm not going to use a curse word. I'm not going to do it. They just suck. They're not creative. I took a screenwriting class in college when there was someone who actually worked for New Line Studios, who was my professor and teacher, actually told me that a lot of these people who work in Hollywood are business majors. They're not even people who are filmmakers. They're not people who are creative. They just kind of go, well, this made money, so let's just rip off that. I mean, the Point Break remake is just bad on the level that Point Break was a meaty... I think it did okay, but it wasn't a box office hit. And on top of that, over the years, it only has a cult following. For general audiences, it's a forgotten action film, only remembered because Patrick Swayze was in it. So it's a bad idea because for that reason, financially, You know, and number two is that they're not gonna make it hardcore and politically incorrect. They're not gonna do it. They don't have the balls to do it. The RoboCop remake is PG-13. Anybody who's seen RoboCop the first one, and even people who've seen number two, which number two is, and my God, we're not even gonna talk about three. That's a whole nother discussion. At least one and two are complementary in the fact that they are viciously violent, hardcore, politically incorrect action pictures. I don't know what has happened where Hollywood is so uncreative that they have to just take everything, anything that even made 2 cents, and remake it. You know, and the fact that I don't get it. And they're digressing. Comedies are the only thing that are progressing, because some of the comedies now, like The Hangover,